Well, hello, hello, hello. For those who are coming in and seeing this later, I'm actually going to be interviewed by a young lady named Iceis, and this should be on her podcast. So I figured at the same time, I might as well just do a live stream. All right. So I'll be mainly looking at the camera over here. So I'll look at editing or whatever afterwards. But thank you for those who might have time to check this out later. She said this interview could possibly go on for about an hour and a half or so. So this is going to be interesting. Again, you guys are just kind of like in the quiet room that nobody knows you're in. So I'm supposed to start too. Just waiting for her to pop me in. All right, peace and blessings. And I will chat with you after this interview is over with. Wish I could play some music or something. There's got to be another way to also stream for my podcast on Anchor. Haven't figured that one out yet either. Alrighty. Hopefully you guys are having a pleasant day. I'm here in New England and it is raining outside. Raining. Okay. Again, I'm just trying to figure everything out, and I'm waiting to be interviewed by Miss Iceis. I'm not sure if I should go out and come back in. So while I'm trying to figure this out here, what's it called? Anchor just recently merged with Spotify. And so I'm trying to figure out how to go live on my Kindle, which can usually do almost everything. Let's see. 1 minute after, let me see if she sent me a new email. I would like to have started the interview when she started the interview, but the lighting is better on my phone, which is right directly under a different light. This one always gets that side cast. So I have to figure all that out later. But yeah, I haven't figured out on my iMac how to stream live and when somebody else is interviewing me or record from the screen. Yeah. So 2 minutes after, let me go out of this and come back in. I guess her name is Gloss. So this says interview with Gloss and Nubian, which I actually go by Nubia. All right, and I have my water over here ready, and I have some tea. Well, I was checking to see if she sent me a new email. I know that she has small children too, so maybe she's having some technical difficulties or something. Let me go to Instagram and see ready when you are. I think her and I saw an ad that she had placed, or somebody had posted something about her on Facebook, and that she had done an interview with another person, T.D. Jake's daughter, Sarah Jakes. And I clicked on it to find more information, and then we met over on Instagram, and then we had a talk about, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago, and then she scheduled it for the 25th for today. So just waiting. There was something else I was looking for. I think I was going to put on my eyebrows, but I don't have my little eyebrow kit. Hopefully when she starts and I go back and edit the live stream, I can say exactly where to start or where exactly the interview starts. Oh, here she comes. Hi, I can't hear. Oh.
Recording in progress.
There you are. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
1 minute. Let me scoot back.
Yes.
Everything's a little tight right now.
You're loud and clear. I can hear you loud and clear. Yes.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, and I can hear your hubby.
Okay. All right. He said, can you still hear him?
I can still hear him, yes. I don't know exactly what he's saying, but I know that he's talking to you.
Okay. All right. Good. Which one? So I'm like, what? Oh, one. Okay. All right. I'm good. I can hear her. She can hear me. I'm recording on what?
Yeah, you are recording. You are recording.
Yeah, on there. And then that camera's recording. And that camera's recording. Oh, all right. Then we're good. Bear myself about 15 more times.
You're here. You made it. We made it.
Then, you know?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you look gorgeous.
Oh, well, thank you. Usually I have better light in this spot, but, sometimes it happens the way that it happens. Let's see. That's not even
working. Yeah, no worries. Yeah. I'm probably going to try to adjust myself more. I'm like sliding. Mm-hmm. Okay. This is good. Oh.
So I'm Nubia of Nubian Queen Nation podcast, and I'm being recorded by somebody else.
You got my... Uh-oh. You're muted.
I hear you.
Okay.
Yes, I got your email with the questions.
Perfect.
Okay. I was like, oh wow, that's a whole that's a whole agenda.
I know. Yes. I know. All right, and then did you have any questions that you wanted to add, or do you feel like those questions you could kind of?
I think that we're going to be good. That's a lot of questions, and as we go along, things might flow, and I might have something that I want to add to or ask.
All right, perfect. And for the sake of the show, what would you like to be addressed as?
I am Nubia, ending with an A. Nubia.
Got you.
Of Nubian. I always say Nubia of Nubian Queen podcast or Nubian Queen Nation podcast. That's what it is.
All right. I'll also have you do introductions. I forgot to put that on the agenda to just introduce yourself. I'll ask how you found the podcast, what you do, all that good stuff, so you'll be able to plug your stuff in as well.
Okay.
All right. I think we're actually all set up. I'm gonna throw my phone on D&D.
It's funny. I'm looking for my own bio in here somewhere. I have it. I'm like, where did I put it? Okay.
Is that phone on D&D? Oh, my ADHD. My adult ADHD is kicking in. Do not disturb. That's what I was thinking. Okay, there we are. Okay, got that. Got this. I am ready whenever you are.
I'm ready.
Perfect. I will probably throw this slide right there. That's good. Label so no one can see. Right here, because I tend to. Get my notes up here.
I think you had mentioned something about drinking tea or drinking coffee. While you,
yes.
And so I had my tea earlier, and I'm like, okay, let me put it in a little something to keep it warm, and I just poured it into my coffee cup. Of course, I made a mess, but hopefully it's still warm.
I can't pour for nothing.
You look wonderful.
Thank you. This is the first time I'm recording 2 podcast episodes back to back.
Okay.
So it's been a morning.
I'm sure.
Okay. All right. Hit record. Oh, she has diapers in that.
This is again Nubia of Nubian
pocket,
Queen Nation podcast. I'm being interviewed by Miss Iceis, or she goes by Gloss.
Praying to God.
So it says interviewed by Iceis and Nubia.
And 5, 4, 3, 2. Wait, what episode is this going to be? 4 is Chyna. 5 is Tanisha. This is episode 6. Let me just put it here now, because I will all the way screw that up. Episode 6. This is our food for the soul, mind, body. Make this all right. It's not in the yes. No. I don't know, honey. I tried. All my kids are teenagers. This is new. All right. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What up, everybody? It's your I am here
Your screen is lagging a bit.
with a special. And they are please. What happened?
Your screen is frozen.
Oh. I can hear you're frozen.
Oh, I can hear you.
Now I see you.
You're intermittent.
Am I still frozen? Am I moving?
Now you're moving, and I'm moving.
Okay.
The screen froze for some reason.
Let me see. It might. Now, our internet is usually good. Don't start playing now. Okay.
You're frozen to me now, but I can hear you, but your screen's frozen.
Whole time. Now all of a sudden we start saying you.
Okay, I can see you, and I'm not sure if you're speaking. Testing 1, 2, 3.
No, I'm not speaking.
Okay.
All right. Are we good? Connection is good over there. We'll see where this takes us.
Okay.
No.
Can you see me moving?
All right.
I can see you, but your voice is intermittent. Your voice is breaking up.
All right. So Nubia, do me a favor. I'm gonna ask you to log out and then log back in.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's see if we need to reset something.
Okay. Okay. Third time's the charm. I need to get me a light that shines down on me over here from the side.
Recording in progress. But usually it would say your internet is unstable, right?
Sometimes it doesn't. I didn't see that message either. Can you hear me? I can hear you now. Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Same for me. I can hear you now. I hear you say testing. If you were saying anything before.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. I guess there's still kind of a lag.
Yeah. We might have to see what this looks like.
Okay.
I know where we are, it's also raining too.
Oh, same thing here.
So that also does not help the internet of the world.
Playing with my little mirror. My little, that makes it, does that make it brighter?
Wait. Didn't have to. I'm hoping at least I won't have to do that. Okay. Good. Let's try it again. See what happens. Sink back into the couch. Throw this back off my neck. It's hot. There it is again. It literally. All right. Also, the other good thing too is because a lot of it will be audio. Is if for some reason we do need to stop or pause in between, it's fine because I make edits to the audio anyway.
Okay.
So I might just have to make more edits than I would like, but we can't help what's currently happening. So,
right. Weather. Okay.
Yeah.
And while we're talking, this is fine. But when you go to hit something else, like when you were counting down and you went to hit the voice somewhere else, that's when it starts to lag.
Yeah, which that shouldn't really have because it doesn't have anything to do with the internet.
Oh, okay.
So it shouldn't be causing any issues, Mr. Roadcaster. All right. Make sure that phone is recording. Yes. All right. I'm just going to hit the record button on that. See what we get. This is good. I'm here. I'm adjusted. All right. Try it again. And 5, 4, 3. I'll also say if you hear for some reason outside noise, it's okay because technically the audio is going to filter all of that out.
Okay.
So like if you hear a motorcycle or something, the mic isn't going to pick it up.
Okay.
So we can still continue to talk over it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What up, everybody? It's your girl, Iceis, and welcome to another episode of Love with Iceis. This is episode 6, and I have a special guest with me. And I know I say all my guests are special, but they are. But this one is more so special because, one, this guest is actually going to help me co-host, and two, this guest, we actually don't know each other. So I think it's absolutely awesome because I love meeting new people. I love working with new people. And again, it just goes to show what a blessing it is to really just start feeling like outreach is for the podcast to do. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce my co-host, Nubia, for this episode. Welcome, girl.
Hey, queen. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. And that this is very interesting that we met on the internet, right? That's how we do things now.
Exactly. I love it. I think it's the way of the world at this point. It's the way the world is going. I think, if anything, the pandemic has really given us no choice if we're going to have human interaction.
And it's also opened up the world, like you could now interview people anywhere and everywhere, as long as the time zones, as long as you can get the time zone to match or whatever, then we can interview anybody anywhere.
Exactly. It's awesome. So thank you so much for helping me co-host today.
Mm-hmm.
It has been, I'm going to go ahead and give you just a little bit of tea. I kind of held this information before we got started, but I was just like, we just got to talk about it on the podcast.
Okay.
So, one, ladies, if you see me sweating, I'm going to tell you why. If my leave out looks a little frizzy, I'm going to tell you why. So if you've been listening to the podcast, you all know that, we're down a car right now. Car was stolen.
What?
Like, kids crashed it into a building. Electrical fire happened. Boom. Car's gone. Right?
Wow.
Okay, so we're in the process of getting another car.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in my head, right, not thinking that we have an awesome friend of ours that's like letting us use their car and everything, but they needed it today. I'm not putting two and two together. I'm at home having the teens get themselves together, clean up and everything, getting the baby together. I get myself together. I look at the time. It's 1:30. Now, the blessing is that our studio is a couple of blocks from our home. But what the gag is that I didn't know it was raining.
Oh.
Okay. So I'm looking at the baby. I'm like, oh, this is what we do it, guys. This is what we do it. And I was like, I'm not gonna let my girl Nubia down. I don't like rescheduling. Okay.
Right.
And I feel like if you could push past the excuse, push past the excuse.
Right.
So pack the baby up. I literally maybe a couple of weeks ago brought like this plastic umbrella covering that covers like the entire stroller.
Wow.
She loved it. She was like, what is this?
Right.
Like, this is great. I threw my hair in a shower cap. Okay. Threw my coat on.
Wait, where's the picture? You should have had took a shot as you're running with your 2 blocks down.
Took a picture and be like, I'm coming, girl. It's this for you.
Wow, that is funny.
Me and my baby, we out here for you, girl.
Oh my goodness. So you got your steps in. You got your steps in today too. And your fresh air. Oh my goodness.
We're gonna pause here. It's lacking. Okay. Start over.
No, I got you. Oh, I heard you. Yep. So, wow, that's very interesting. Very interesting.
It is. So you see me fanning myself.
Okay. Gotcha.
And periodically drinking water.
And that's funny because just before you started, you know how anybody who does YouTube, podcasting, whatever, you sit in your seat and then you're like, oh, I need my glasses, and then you're like, oh, I need my water, and so you're even though you're like 5 minutes or 2 minutes before it's like go time, you're running back down the steps, or you're running. You know what? I couldn't find my phone. I had everything set up, and I knew that I had my phone in my hand, and I put it down for a second to do something, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, and then I'm like, oh, I'll call my phone. So like my son and my husband, they are constantly, I'm like, call my phone, but they're not here. So.
Right. So it's like there's not the option there.
Yeah. So that is real life. And then you talking about being down one car, like I'm not sure if I told you during our we did speak like 2 weeks ago. We got into an accident. So somebody hit our car. So we're actually down one car. And the funny story is I said to my husband, okay, honey, when you go to get the rental car, do not bring back a charger or any fast car because, men, they do that, right? So he's like, okay, I got you. I said, just bring back a little cute SUV, like my SUV, right? And so I call him out. He's at the place. I'm like, what's taking you so long? What? I said, you didn't get a charger or any kind of fast car, right? He says, I got a what's the car? He said I got a Mustang. That's all they had. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That's all they had. That's all they had was the lot. So me trying to get in and out of the car with a dress on, going to the grocery store. Like, I don't need to drive fast to the grocery store. But my son now, every time I get in the car to go somewhere, he's in the car with me. Like, okay, mom, and he's doing all the digital thing on the dashboard for me. I'm like, what are you?
I can't living their entire best life right now.
You know what I'm saying?
Their
Exactly.
Entire best life.
Exactly.
Oh gosh, men are hilarious.
I love it. And I used to have, the men in my house were outnumbered because I have 3 daughters, but they moved out, and now I'm getting all into. I didn't even introduce myself yet. But
it's okay. That's what this is for. So all right. So well, as you can see, ladies, we're here.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We've made it here.
Mm-hmm.
We've made it here for you. All right, and this is going to be a good one.
Mm-hmm.
So stay tuned for everything that we have to talk about. So. Nubia, please explain yourself, how you found the podcast, who you are, what you do, all that great stuff.
Well, let's see. So I hardly ever check into Facebook now because it seems like most people are on Instagram or TikTok or someplace else. But every so often I do go to Facebook and I check in, clear out all your notifications. And there was a notification from somebody that I know that we must have a mutual friend somewhere, And so I clicked on their page and I started to read, and they were talking about, your I'm not sure if it was a bio or something came up, and it was speaking about you and your podcast and how you had the chance to do an interview with Sarah or co-host with Sarah Jake's, TD Jake's daughter. So I'm like, wow, that's very interesting. So I clicked on it, read up on it a little bit, went over to Instagram, which is what we do nowadays, right? You see people on Facebook, you look up their Instagram thing. Okay. Can you hear me now? The weather here in New England is rainy, so we're having intermittent. You still there?
I can hear you. Can you hear?
I can hear you. Yes.
Yes. Edit it out. I'm still here.
Okay.
You can hear me? Okay. All right. From the notification.
Okay. All right. So I saw somebody, I think that you and I must have somebody, a linked person that knows you and knows me. So I clicked on it. I read your bio or whatever was talking about a story that you got a chance to co-host with TD Jake's daughter, Sarah Jakes. So I clicked on it, and then I went over to Instagram because I was saying that's what we do. When you see somebody on Facebook, you go to see if they have an Instagram page or a Twitter or
all the social media.
You go there. Only some of us who are social media savvy, right? So I saw you.
Right.
I found you on Instagram, and then I think I sent you a message, and then you sent a message back to me, and then we got a chance to chat. I think it took a little bit of time. I'm not sure what the lapse time was, but that's how we got connected. Basically, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So that's awesome. And now tell the Gloss ladies about yourself, like who you are, what you do, things that you have going on. We're all just getting acquainted.
Okay. So fortunately, I'm just gonna read a bio that I have, if you don't mind. So I won't
awesome.
Okay.
Prepare.
So yes.
Okay? So I'll be like, I'm and I do this, and but reading a bio is smart.
Well, I just had a chance to speak last Saturday at a women's thing, and I sent my bio over to them, and and also because I have a book that I'm a part of, an anthology. So that's because that's why I had a bio prepared, because that. But anyway, so it says that I'm Nubia Taylor. I'm the wife of my husband for nearly 35 years. So this year will be 36 years. I'm a homeschool mom of 4, but of course, my 3 older daughters are in their 20s now, so they've moved on. And my son is still being homeschooled. He's 16. And I'm also a combat veteran who served abroad during Desert Storm. Been to other countries like Spain and Turkey, different places like that. And in February 2020, born from the desire of myself to have my voice, hear a voice, or have a voice, I started my own podcast, Nubian Queen Nation Podcast, which focuses on building women up to support them on their journey towards queendom as they heal, develop financial literacy, and enter into entrepreneurship. Nubia coaches women through starting businesses, developing homeschool training, nurturing relationships based on her experience and knowledge from serving her family and community for nearly 40 years. Okay, so now I'm basically kind of telling my age or giving my, do the math. It's working out. It's working out. And so I'm a new writer, like I said, award-winning international bestseller and #1 Amazon bestseller. Of 2 anthologies. So an anthology is a book of 28 different women. We each got to write a chapter and contributed towards this anthology, Woman's Devotion. This is called the Purpose of My Pain. And then I have another one, which I don't know what the book is. I was trying to be organized. So I've also taught etiquette classes to young ladies some years ago. And I love gardening. Like I said, writing is like a new passion. And I love everything to do with holistic living. And teaching, like I said, teaching teenage girls about etiquette. So I have a website page called Nubian Queen Nation, which is, under development, always constantly learning these things myself. And a YouTube channel also called Nubian Queen TV or Nubian Queen 04. And that's me in the nutshell.
That's awesome. Well, first off, snaps and claps to you. Okay.
Thank you.
We got a lot of stuff going on. Okay. But it's a lot of good stuff, and I always love it. I am a big advocate of just queendomship and supporting Black businesses, supporting Black women. And March is Black Herstory Month. Okay. We're over here celebrating just some wonderful things. So definitely send me the 2 books, the titles of them. And their Amazon links, so I can also make sure I link it in the bio, and I can also make sure that I send everyone over there to go get it and support. We're gonna support Nubia, y'all.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, that's what we're gonna do. Y'all know I'm big on that. Okay, I'm also going to sow a seed, and I'm going to purchase her books. All right. And matter of fact, y'all know I love doing giveaways, and I'm trying to do more giveaways. Okay. I recently did a wig giveaway, and maybe episode 1. Okay, another giveaway is coming up, and I am going to make it your book.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. My second book is about my military experience.
Right? So there we are. Well, nice to meet you. Also, we're not going to forget about the podcast.
Okay. Yes.
One more time.
Nubian Queen Nation Podcast, which everywhere they can find yours, they can find my Nubian Queen Nation Podcast. And I was saying that the second book is about my military experience. The one chapter. I need to write a longer or more extensive book, but that's the beginning of speaking about my military experience during Desert Storm.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
All right. So much. Just thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Enrichment, pouring into serving our country, just all of it. And we're also going to make sure we follow the podcast as well. I have to do that too. So that'll be on my notes as well to go follow the podcast. Okay.
Thank you.
Of course. So as always, when we're starting this off, we have now all been acquainted. We all know Nubia. She is our good sis over here now. We, of course, are going to start off with what are we sipping on? Okay. And what's our mood? Because if you know me, I love drinks. Okay. First off, Nubia is over here with a beautiful mug. All right. What does it say? What does it say in the acro?
It says "Be Fierce." I got this at the women's conference I was at last week. Be fierce.
I love it. Love it. Let me tell you why I love it even more, right? Because for one, I love mugs. It's ridiculous how many mugs that I have, but I love mugs. But even more so because I work in like this predominantly white organization. I'm leaving though, y'all, April 10th. Girl, getting up out of there. All right. But what I love to do is I always love to have like a really just big, ridiculous mug that has a beautiful Black girl on it or some type of saying, something. Even more so since they didn't acknowledge Black History Month, so I do my best to make sure that every time they see me, it's Black History somewhere mixed in there.
You said
so I love your mug.
You said it's Black History 365 days of the year.
All the time. Wherever I'm sitting at, it's going to be Black History.
Exactly.
For you. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. So what's in that mug? What do we have?
I love to drink ginger tea. So I have ginger tea, and I put a little splash of French vanilla creamer in there. So that's how I drink my ginger tea. I love it.
I might try that.
Oh yeah.
I might try that. Ginger always really punches me in my throat.
Yes.
Anytime I'm not feeling good, that's my go-to.
And that's why this mug is so big, because if you do it in a regular coffee mug, that's not enough water. So I do it in a bigger mug, and then I just leave space for lots of French vanilla creamer with no sugar. The French.
Okay.
Yeah, I get the French vanilla creamer that has no sugar. Supposedly.
Yeah. Well, I will be trying that. Mm-hmm. Sure. Mm-hmm. All right, so we got some ginger tea going. Winter. I'm hot. I was sweating. Okay. I y'all know I'm a Baptist girl. I brought my fan.
Where's your fan? Where's your fan? Where's your fan?
Fan is right here, because fan is my friend right now. All right, and so we're sipping on water. I'll probably grab some tea later on, but my body temperature is like we need to
right.
Good. What is your mood? If you had to choose an emoji for your mood, what would your mood be?
You know, on Facebook, when people they pick an emoji and they show a beautiful Black woman with her hair wrapped up, and she has potpourri or like sparkle things going, and she's like this, like, so I'd be the one with the sparkle dust going up in the air with her head wrap on. Yeah.
Awesome.
Like so excited.
Yes, no, that's good. If I had to pick one, I would probably say I'm the emoji with I don't know if that's necessarily the worried emoji, but it looks like the top of the emoji's head is kind of like blue and sweating a little bit.
Okay.
Because
I don't think I've seen that one before. You have to send it to me later on.
I will. I'll find it for you, because that's the mood for the moment. But then it's also just the happy mood, because again, I'm happy to have you here.
Yes.
Are you ready to get into the show?
Let's get into it.
All right. Well, we are going to get into it. Listen. So what we are going to talk about today, we are going to talk about food for the soul, the mind, body, and the spirit. Mind, body, and the soul. And the reason why is because these are just 3 attributes that I think really contribute to just our emotions, our health, our mental health, our physical needs, all those things. So it's an important topic. It's a topic that I always find to be something where, especially on this podcast, we kind of dib and dab a little bit in it, but to kind of just combine the 3 of them and more so focus on the area of just health and why it's so important, and especially being a Black woman, why we need to make sure that we're paying attention to ourselves, our bodies, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Okay? All right, ladies. So let's get into our topic, okay? So, first question. Newbie, I'm gonna go ahead and throw it out there for you to answer first. All right. What do you do for self-care?
You know, why is it not? I won't even just say Black women. Why is it us as moms and as women? It is so hard for us to take care of ourselves. You know, we put everybody else first. We love our hubbies. We love our children. But if we don't, I learned.
I'm gonna pause you. Nope, I want you to start over.
You do?
Because it froze on you.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Give it 5 minutes, because I feel like it does like a 5 minute lag. Not 5 minutes. Give it 5 seconds. I feel like it does a lag.
Okay.
I'll edit this part.
Okay.
All right. Back to your why is it.
So my why, I was like, why is it that we as women, whether Black, white, whatever, we don't take care of ourselves. We take care of our husbands, we take care of our children, and we put ourselves last. But what I'm learning as I get older and my children are also grown and going is if I don't pour into me, then I will have nothing to pour into others around me. It's like they say, put that mask on yourself first. So
Yes.
I like to, and, my husband reminded me the other day, slow it down, take a hot bath, put in your favorite oils, essential oils. I love essential oils, and just chill out. Lock the door, whatever you have to do, but you have to take that time out, because if I don't take care of me, then it's going to be really, really hard to take care of my family the way that I would like to take care of my family. So
Yeah.
I'd have to say, give yourself a facial. Go do a pedicure. Either you're on yourself or go and have somebody else give you a pedicure.
Yeah, for sure. I know for me, first off, you were in my house just yesterday, because that was the exact conversation my husband decided to have with me. And he usually knows when there's something probably going wrong with my self-care regimen, when he can see the house isn't housing the way it normally does.
Mm-hmm.
Because he knows that that's something where, for me mentally,
mm-hmm.
I am usually on top of managing the household. Like that's something I'm really good at. Kids need to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing this. This needs to work on this. And really just kind of making space. Not saying that my husband doesn't help assist with cleaning the home or anything, especially when I'm just in one of those moods. But I really do try to make space so he can focus on working.
Mm-hmm.
And he can focus on being the head of the home and taking care of those things. And so, when he starts to notice, it's like, hey, you all right, babe? What's going on? And so literally I was like, first off, if you look, I have like 4 nails off of my fingers right now, right? I have been on top of getting my nails done. I looked down and was just like, you don't care right now why and what's going on and what's wrong. But it's really true. I think I had talked about this on the podcast, on one of the episodes, just about what makes you happy as an individual. Like when you're not being mom, when you're not being a wife, when you're not being a caretaker, all those other agents. And so, and I also talked about like the difference between a temporary fix versus longevity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know for me, I feel like I look my best, I feel my best much longer. When I start to feel like certain things are just not well,
You're breaking up a little bit.
I'm not looking. It is safe,
Mm-hmm. You're breaking up. Can you hear me now?
Okay. Really hard.
This rain is really interfering. Can you hear me?
Recording stopped.
Recording stopped.
Recording in progress.
Okay, there you are again.
I'm gonna throw us on my hotspot.
Okay.
Because
okay.
I think that might actually be better. It's probably gonna cut us off of Zoom.
Okay. Well, you look like you went out and came back in already.
Or just it's gonna freeze us for a minute.
Okay.
But let me see.
Okay, so you're still with me here, Nubia of Nubian Queen Nation. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Here's my hotspot. I'm gonna connect us to. Boom.
Okay.
All right. I think this might be a little better.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's see. Okay. so I was saying, I think, when it comes to self-care, especially when we try to think about the things that we like to do, for me, that I could do either with or without people.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a hard question. It's a hard question to answer. Or going to get a facial.
Yeah. It is still breaking up a little bit, but okay. But yes, I do like giving myself facials. And that's something I would do with my girls too. So I would teach them to take care of themselves, So we would sit down and we would have tea. We'd have little tea parties and we would do facials, and I would put out little feet pans and we would do our feet together just so they could learn early that it's important to take care of yourself, And you have to take care of yourself first.
Yeah, exactly. You're really no good to anyone, especially because what I noticed, and we'll get to, I'm pretty sure into this conversation at some point, but there is like a duality in if you aren't taking care of yourself physically, or if you aren't taking care of yourself mentally, they all start to contribute to everything else.
That is so true.
And I think especially since having pressing the restart button and adding an additional child to the family, I've noticed that if mentally I'm not well, physically I don't feel well, and spiritually my tank is on zero. They all contribute to each of them. So it's not even like one is full and I can pull from the other one, because all three right now are not even at baseline. And I was like, we got to do something about this. For sure. That
is so true. And the word that my pastor in Tampa used to say, because right now we're in New England, he would say that, basically you're running on, you're bankrupt,
Yes.
You're thinking of, of course, there's the whole bank crisis right now going on, but you think of a bank. If we are bankrupt as an individual, we can't pour into anybody else. I can't give you a nickel, dime, or anything if I'm bankrupt, So it is important for us to replenish spiritually, physically, like you said, like I said, you got your walking today and you got that fresh air. I have to find some way to get out there and, get my steps moving, even if it's going to a mall and walking around the inside of a mall on a rainy day. At least you're getting your steps in, window shop,
something. Yes. Something, even if it's small, just doing something. And so that's what I told myself. Again, just like, if it's an excuse you can push past, push past it. And so that's why even like for today, it was just like, nope, like it's water. Okay. And exactly. It's getting your steps in. It also gave me just some time to be to myself and think to myself and everything. So, just using whatever opportunities to have a moment to self. And also, I think communication as well. Like, it sounds like you and your husband are good at just speaking to each other and talking to each other about those things. And it's the same thing over here. Like, I have a husband that if I'm like, hey, this is me time, he knows that looks like, well, let me collect all my stuff and you don't have to tell me twice. I'm going to go on the couch and baby, you get your you time. Because when you good, I'm good. We all good. Because when you not good, the whole house is like tiptoeing.
Yeah. And let me tell you, I have been, we are going on 36 years, but communication.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But communication is still a thing. I'm telling you that we don't have that down pat. Like I'm just being honest with you. That's a daily, like I said, I'm a gardener. And if you can throw some seeds out there and throw the water on there and beautiful flowers and collard greens and stuff will come up. But there's weeds that are going to come up. And if you don't go out there and tend that garden and pull them weeds up, the weeds can overtake that garden. So that's like communication, and anything else has to do, with a marriage. You have to you got to pull the weeds out. You gotta work on the communication on a daily basis. You gotta, rub your spouse's back, or rub their feet, or cook them their best dinner, whatever it is it takes to nurture the marriage. It doesn't just happen. It's work.
Exactly.
It's work.
Yeah, because then there's that, right? There's like your individual self-care, and then it's your self-care as a couple.
Right. Ministering to your husband.
You know, exactly. And I know I owe myself to be my best self so I can be a good wife. It just makes sense. And it's the same thing for my husband, right? Like, hey, if you're not doing what you need to do, and honestly, he's awesome at it. Like, he is awesome at being like, this is what I need. He is awesome at communicating, you know, when either he's not getting that or when it's time for him to get that. And I think for men, it could be few far in between versus like women, it's just like, because we're also emotional beings, right? So I know for me, being a nurturer, I constantly feel like I'm giving. You know, so I think for me, I need to replenish just as much as I'm giving out. How do you, since you mentioned it, what does that conversation like look like when you know you need to replenish and it's like you have to have that conversation with your husband?
I think, and my husband is really good at that for me too. He'll just say, you know what, why don't you just go ahead and get a pedicure. Just take some time off, go have lunch if you want to also, go buy yourself an outfit, and I'm the one that's like, oh, he has to remind me, you need to take a break. You need, go take a nap, go do something, because we sometimes get so absorbed in cleaning the house and tending to the children and knowing that there's a schedule to keep that I can remember when my daughters, because I have 3, when the older 2 went from homeschooling to a local college that had, you can get your high school diploma and get your college credits. And they're like 1 grade behind each other. I was like running them back and forth. And I would sometimes take a 15-minute nap in between or run in the house, go to the bathroom, change clothes, something, and then get back in the car and do it again. That year was so crazy that actually, I know we're going to get to it later, but I ended up having a health issue. So I'll wait till you ask me that question to talk about that. But I actually had a health issue that came up, and I was like, this can't be happening to me. Like at that time, my grandmother was living over 100 years. I'm like, my family lives for a long time. What do you mean I have an issue? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, and I know for us, like in my family, the women in my family, I've watched them run themselves in the ground. Like, there's a longevity on the, I'll say, the women's side of my family, maternal and paternal. But I feel like for the men, at 50s, they start dying off. The women definitely outlive the men in my family, but they come with so many health issues. Like, it's almost like they're alive, but they're not living.
Right.
And I constantly use them as my reminders to just be like, this isn't it. And a lot of their stories are the same things. Either they didn't put themselves first, so they didn't take care of themselves. They didn't pay attention to the health signs until it was already too late. They made a lot of just not so great choices that have now caused them in their older years to start to decline. And I've always said I want to be that mom or even that grandmother that's still able to like go outside and run around with her grandkids, that's able to still travel, that's able to still do fun things, that's able to still be like, oh, you're how old? No, like I still want that shock factor. Like I want you have how many grandkids?
Exactly.
That's the shock factor that I want. I'm trying to be on my Angela Bassett, okay? The 50s. Something where, okay? And to me, that's not even an old age to me. Right. So I'm in my head just like, if that's what 50 looks like, But I think over a period of time, we're starting to see that change. Just because I think there are a lot of us that's looking at the generation that's ahead of us and seeing those things and going, nope, like. We're not staying at jobs that we don't feel contribute to our mental health and contribute to our peace. Whereas our parents used to be like, we have to keep this roof over our head. Right. And we're the same way. Right. But I think we have started now becoming like that community that's just like, I will not stay here. I will leave. You won't even get a 2-week notice, let alone a 24-hour notice.
Yeah, that is so true. That's the difference between my daughters are always telling me the baby boomers and the millennials and the Gen Zs and they work from home and one of them does but if they don't like it, they are not going to suffer through it. They're not going to suffer through it. Like, our generation and our parents' generation or whatever, I know there's a little bit of a gap between you and I too in our age, but they're not having it. The younger generation is like, nah,
No,
so.
no. And even being a millennial compared to the Gen Zs,
Mhm.
and I believe it's the Gen X.
Okay. Okay.
Something like that. It's like I know there's something.
Right.
I know they're Gen something.
Yeah,
you're
right.
not a millennial. That's what I know. But the ones that's even like behind me, so like my kids at this point, and I don't even know what it's gonna look like when my kids have kids. But I'm even noticing like they're the generation of the 9 to 5s will be obsolete the way they're going.
Right.
Like they're creating their own platforms at this point. I think even for some of the younger millennials, like that whole entrepreneurship thing is really big. And it's really come up heavy in the times of social media. And then especially when the pandemic hit. Like if that didn't show corporations that people will not stay. Like we're still in just an employment deficit because people haven't returned.
Right.
And they're like, they were banking on, people are definitely going to come back. And people were just like, no, because my peace, this has been the most peaceful I've been.
Yeah.
In a long time.
And, I noticed it yesterday because we were out and we went to go do our taxes and then we had breakfast afterwards and then we went to a store and people were like, oh, go and leave us a comment. I've never seen so many people outright ask for comments because they're working understaffed, so they're probably getting bad comments or bad reviews, and so they're like, "Please leave a review today if we gave you good service." I'm like, everybody's understaffed, and so I understand why they're like basically begging for a good review because they're the restaurant. That was the longest it ever took for me to get food from this one restaurant, but I'm sure that they were understaffed, and my husband and I we were enjoying each other's company, so we weren't in a rush, you know what I mean? So we just kind of let it go, and so. Yeah, well, I'll go and I'll leave a review. But people like you said, if they don't like their job, they're like, look, I'm out of here. You're not getting a 2-week notice. I'm out. And I don't even need your comment on my next job. I just don't even. I'm not. That was a big thing.
If that was not me when I put my resignation in 2 weeks ago, I was just like, first off, I am very employable. Second of all, I will not need you for a reference ever. Like, there's even that. You will not hold me here.
Yeah.
I will not be chained to somewhere that I don't like.
Yeah.
So it definitely it's for real. Okay, so this is the comorbidities conversation that I wanted to have between like mental health.
Okay.
And then like medical diagnosis.
I do see that you were going to ask about, so you're jumping into the health thing, so I'll get to tell. Also, with me co-hosting, I don't, my bio, I don't know your bio, so I'm trying to guess at how old your children are and how long you've been married. I know your listeners know you, but I'm like, I'm trying to guess, like how long has she been married? How long is?
Look at that, shame.
No, go ahead.
Shame.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so what's my bio? This is horrible because I don't like to talk about myself. So that's probably why I was just like, we just gonna jump on into it and keep on going. That is note to self basis. Introduce yourself to your guests as well. Gloss ladies, thank you for keeping me in check. Okay, so I have, how many children do I have? 4 girls now.
Okay.
1 boy.
Oh, okay.
All right. So there's 5 children. We're a blended family. My oldest daughter hates being anything that is considered step or what do we call that? I forgot. It's like a word that I used to use. See, I don't even use the word anymore because once she was like, I don't like that bonus.
Okay.
Like bonus, anything like that. So all of my kids, I always say that those are all of my kids.
Okay.
And I treat them just like that. But yeah, so there's 4 girls, 1 boy. They all range from the youngest being 8 months to the oldest being 19.
Okay. All right. All right.
I I just turned 34.
Okay.
I just turned 34 a couple of weeks ago. My husband and I were going on our year of completion of marriage, so this will be year 7 for us.
All right.
I'm in the field of social work. I love all things that involve just like mental health. But I think I just have a passion for people. I always say if there's one thing I have a passion for, it's sitting at the table with broken people. And the reason for it being is because there have been so many times in my life that I have just felt broken and just felt like I didn't know what table to sit at. I didn't know a safe place to be at. My story comes from, I always share this story because before Gloss with Iceis was a podcast, we really started out as a women's empowerment movement. So it started out as called RAC, and that was for Welcome Reality, Accept Change. And it was based off really the bridge of me being a product of a biological mother that committed suicide on my first birthday. And so I used to be so ashamed to talk about it, but it was so many things that I felt like that came with that at some point that I had to address and really realize like there are people out here that's really hurting. Like, and then on top of that, it came with me being the product of someone being raised by grandparents, which was like great, but had its own stuff as well. So, you know, I think I did a lot of growing up and a lot of learning in areas that I probably could have skipped over if it wasn't for the fact I felt like I was constantly trying to find myself through relationships, find myself just experimenting with things in life. And so here we are. I feel like I live in authenticity. I live in truth. I love when you can hear something and you know that it's from somebody's heart, but you know it's something that's not a script. Like I feel like I walk out my everyday life. I'm the person that if you're like, pray for me, we could be in the middle of a grocery store and I'm going to be like, we're going to pray right now. I don't do we'll pray about it later, but we're going to pray about it right now. We're going to talk about it right now. So that's me. That's me. And I'm still a work in progress. There's still things that I want to do and aspire to do and hope to do. But yeah, I'm living in my truth and I'm living in my moments. And it's been a roller coaster.
We're all a work in progress. That's good. That's beautiful. And thank you for sharing your story. I mean, you know, we all have a voice, and there is somebody out there, like you said, that needs to hear each one of our testimony, all of our testimony. Because like the pastor that we had in Tampa, he used to say, every person has at least one book in them. At least one book in them. You know?
Yes, I've heard that.
Yeah.
I've heard that. I've heard that. And it's so funny because usually, like, even after I give that introduction, people are always like, so where's the book? And I'm always like, I'm not there yet. I feel like my story is still
being written.
Yeah. And there is a place that I feel that I haven't got to yet that needs to be included in the book. So I know people are always like, well, just at least start it. And I'm like, I almost feel though the start of that book starts with the completion of whatever this journey is. So sometimes I'm almost sitting in expectation. I'm like, God, I know it's coming, but he hasn't put it on my heart yet. It's there, but he hasn't said for me to start it yet. But I know it's coming.
I read something the other day. A person said that they just sit down at 4:00 in the afternoon or whenever you have a quiet moment for, you know, you with small children, whatever, it might have to be early in the morning, and just write down something like a journal, you know, because I feel like the 2 anthologies that I did, the first one is like would be like my first chapter. And then the military story would be like in the middle somewhere, but I still need to sit down and start writing different chapters to fill in the gaps, especially while our memory is still kind of fresh. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. And it's important. I think it's important because there's still things that I'm learning about my husband, and there's still things that I'm learning about him, or he's learning about me, you know?
Yeah.
And then you can, that your story is your legacy in our journal to our children, you know?
What made you feel ready to like put the pen to paper to tell your story? Because I think it's such a brave thing to do.
Honestly, I just told this story last Saturday in the women's workshop that I was in. For the first chapter, the pandemic, okay, so it must have been like 2020, or maybe the end of it going into 2021. So a girl that I knew on Instagram, she was posting and posting, and she popped up in my feed. And so we were friends some time back, but I guess she moved from New England to Florida and she came back. So I was following her, and she was talking about she was going to go do a vision board thing. And I thought, I really need to get out the house because, the pandemic had us all locked up in the house and things were starting to open up a little bit. And she said that the vision board thing was going to be in Boston because, we're in New England. I like to say it that way, kind of keep it general, but, your readers, your listeners know where we're located. So that was going to be like a 2-hour ride from here to Boston. And so I just sometimes you just have to ask, that get out of the comfort zone and just ask a question, So I text her and I sent her a message and I said, I see that you're going to this vision board thing. Would you mind if I jump in the car with you? Because she was from the same local area that I'm in. And she's like, she started to, I think she probably was trying to figure out who I was because before I was going by a government name and now I go by Nubia. I changed my own name. And so she was like, this person sounds familiar. She looks familiar, but her name is not the same. And I kind of knew we were going there. So when she came to pick me up and I got in the car, she says, why do I know you, but I don't think I know you? And I told her, and we laughed all the way to Boston. We talked, we filled in the gaps of, catching up. And then we got to the vision board thing and we were standing in line to get pictures taken and hold up our sign for the new year, for 2021. And the lady in front of us held up a sign and she said, I'm an author and I'm a speaker. And I said, wow, you're an author and a speaker? That's kind of like a secret thing that, you have secret things that you want to do, but you don't really say it out loud. But in order for it to come into fruition, you have to say it out loud, So she said, no, not yet, but this is what I'm speaking into existence. And I was like, okay. And then the girl who rode with me from Boston, she said, oh, hey, I'm going to be a part of an anthology. Would you like to be? She said to the other girl, would you like to be a part of it? And I'm thinking, I just drove 2 hours with you. You never mentioned it to me, but it never came up in our conversation. Girl. I was like, you trying to leave me out of this thing? So on the way back, I interviewed her in the car. We did a little podcast and we talked and she gave me the information. So I got a chance to jump in on the anthology. And she actually pulled me along because they had been working together for 2 or 3 months together already. And they were coming to the last month of working on their chapters and getting it edited. And I was like, well, what am I going to write about? And I just felt like the Holy Spirit said, write on this situation, this one point. And I was like, oh gosh, I don't want to, that's, I don't want to say it's embarrassing, but to put yourself out there, it's you feel vulnerable, And so I actually called my mother because it was a shared story. And I said, do you mind if I tell this story, And she said, yeah, put it out there, And so I did. And I actually don't push the pain, the purpose of my pain more as much as I do the second book, because it's just so, you feel so vulnerable. And once you put it out there, it's like, okay, you know what? It's out there. It was a relief. And because the same author, the same person who was in charge of that anthology did another one. She does them on a regular basis. And the next one, I loved the title. And I thought, you know what? That's a perfect opportunity because it has the word storm in it. This is a perfect opportunity to write about Desert Storm because I was in Desert Storm. So I got to write about the microaggressions and the different things that went on with me being an African-American female serving in the military. So it's not a happy.
So I almost want to, because I know why we're talking about it, like this is good, right? But it almost pushes me to kind of go under the surface a little of the conversation because I feel like you probably have some of the best experience and topics to really kind of talk about like what that looks like, right? Mm-hmm. So especially for people who have never served, never been in the military, mm-hmm. don't know what that's like. Mm-hmm. But it pushes you even more when it comes to like, how do you take care of your mind, body, and soul when like you're literally one fighting for
your country,
other people, or to ensure safety of a country, being a Black woman at that, being away from family. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's just certain things where I'm like, God, that's not my test. Just
Mm-hmm.
it was not my test.
Mm-hmm.
But like, speak to what I don't know. Like, I'm so curious to be like, how did you get through that and can currently sit right here and like have this smile on your face and still just like live life?
You know, and as you were speaking, you know, I feel like the Holy Spirit was saying, you know what, stop living in the closet, or stop being so the first chapter was me talking about the fact that my mother went to have an abortion. My aunt made her have an abortion, and she got all the way to New York on the table, and my mother said, I can't do it. I can't. I'm not going through this. So I wouldn't even be here. It took me a long time, and I didn't carry that burden as a shameful thing all my life, because it didn't actually really hit me, or she didn't tell me until, I don't know, I might have been already a young adult, you know what I mean? Or maybe I had. So the fact that I'm still here is a testimony. And it's really even more so important for me to use my voice, because the enemy tried to take me out. But the twist to that story is that being in the military, and before I had my children and met my husband, I actually got pregnant myself out of wedlock. And I was so embarrassed to go through with it myself that I actually had an abortion. So I was like, Mommy, if you had told me that story, or went more in depth with that story, then maybe I would not have gone through what I went through. You know what I mean? And not, and it's not to shame anybody, because look, I'm a Christian. I had a really good life. I grew up with my mother and my father in the household. You know, I'm not saying that everything was perfect, but you just do what you do, and if you don't know any better, you don't do better. You know. So with me having 3 girls, I'm like, look, if you ever get into a situation where you know, date rape, whatever, come to me. Don't let the enemy drag you into that pit hole. Tell me, because the enemy wants us to live in a spot where we're isolated, and we feel like there's nobody else around us that has gone through what we've gone through. And so I don't know how we got here, but it's just so important that it is just so important that if you're out there, and if you're a daughter, a sister, a cousin, a male, a female, and you are in a place that you're feeling so like nobody on earth can identify with what's going on right now, I'm telling you right now, that's a lie from the enemy. There's nothing new created under the sun. And whatever you're going through, somebody out there has already gone through it, and you need to talk to somebody that you feel safe and comfortable with, and just don't make any rash decisions. You know, I mean, like I said, I did terminate my first pregnancy, and I, you know, have had God forgive me, and I forgiven myself, which is also important, because God's gonna, if we ask, He's gonna forgive us.
He's gonna do it. Exactly.
You know what I mean? But you have to forgive yourself. You know what I mean? So don't let that be a stumbling block if you're out there and you're going through some things and you don't think anybody else around you would understand, or you feel that. Don't carry that luggage of shame around. You need to put that luggage on the altar, and then ask God to forgive you. Find somebody to help you. I'm not a mental person at all, but find somebody to talk to. And so going to the military part of it, I'm still walking through that, because how do you serve your country? And I was in a unit of, I was the only African American of like 18, 20 people that flew from Tampa to Saudi Arabia. And well, no, there was a lot more of us that flew together. But when I got there, I got separated from the others that were POCs like me. And I was the only radio operator, and everybody else was Caucasian. And when we built up camaraderie going there, oh, we're a family, we're going to hang together, we do everything together, blah, blah, blah. But when it came time for separation and another unit needed a radio operator, I felt like they sold me off like I was a runaway slave. They sold me off to the highest bidder. Of course, they didn't really sell me in exchange money, but they all got to stay together as a unit. And I went off to, you know, so I went from, we all stayed in these nice villas to like eventually moving further and further out to where I was in the middle of the desert with sand and tents. And I was in and then, women can get catty, you know what I mean? So I actually was in a tent with these 2 other white men. I'm like, look, I feel safe with y'all in the tent with you guys than I do getting in a tent with these other females, you know? So I'm still working through my invisible PTSD. And I say that on purpose, because that's a different topic, a whole nother thing, because there's people that are around me. I'm connecting myself with other female veterans now, like reconnecting. And a lot of them are service connected, and they're not combat veterans, and I'm a female combat veteran who's not service connected. So that's another whole thing. So I'm still working through it. But the good thing is during 2020, I have a friend that I was in church with me in Tampa. They live out in Arizona. She is a therapist, and she doesn't really post on Facebook, but she posted and she said, even therapists need therapists. And when she said that in 2020, I was like, you know what?
It's so true.
I'm like, I'm a veteran,
It's so true.
and I can get a therapist for free. What am I, you know what the problem was, is that in our culture of Black people, we just didn't,
We'll go to shrinks.
you better take that to the altar. You better take that to the altar.
This is our business.
You better take it to the altar, and you better lay it on the altar. You better lay it on the altar, give it to Jesus. And I'm not being funny when I say give it to Jesus, because you can give it to Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
But I
there's
also,
a lot of Christians who demonize Jesus in therapy.
And so again, the pastor used to say, you can give it to Jesus, but sometimes you need to talk to somebody with some skin wrapped up around them. You need to talk to somebody with some skin, a real person. And so that was the beginning of me going and speaking to a therapist in the VA, and to just talk it out, get it out. It feels better to, because when you were also raised in the church, you everything's all nice. And well, they hurt my feelings, but I just prayed and asked God to forgive them. You know what? Sometimes there's righteous anger, and there's stuff that we deal with that you need to just be honest and put it all out there and say, you know what? I was mad, but now I forgive that person truly, because of course, when we forgive, it's not about that person. It's really about me healing myself.
I feel like there's a lot of talk that is a lot of more so religion than it actually is when it comes to being a believer.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's true, we can wrap so many things up. There's so many broken people who think they're healed and they're really not. And it's because they have gone to a lot of churches that have preached religion and not the actual word of the Bible. And so there's a lot of us who get like pretty presents that have like the beautiful bows on it. And it was just like, come to God and all of your problems will just be resolved. And then you come and then you wonder why it feels like, did I really give my life over? Because this was not supposed to be where it is. It's like, it's portrayed as this beautiful picture, and it is in a sense, but like faith is hard. This isn't an easy walk because it comes with a lot of sacrifice, and it comes with a lot of the truth of knowing just like God is almighty. He doesn't have to do nothing for you but breathe his life into you if he wants. And if that's all you get, you still need to praise him. Exactly. And a lot of people don't understand it. A lot of people don't understand that. So I feel like a lot of people come into this world with expectation. And you had said something before just about the whole like not living in that shame. That is one thing that the enemy is so good at, is constantly reminding someone of that shame, of that that's on them, and making them feel like they can't be accepted. And so that was something that is what really birthed this whole thing, this whole platform. Is I wanted for people to start seeing a believer and a believer that also sins as well. Like every day, like we are born sinners. That's why Jesus came here. Okay,
to die for our sins. He died for our sins.
To die for our sins, But there's this thing where it seems like to be a believer, it's this righteousness that comes with it. It's this nastiness that can come where it's just like, well, if you're not doing this, and if it doesn't look like this, and if it doesn't walk like this, and I will always be in my head and be like, do we forget the disciples that Jesus picked? Because if I remember, they all had issues. They all had stuff that was going on. If I remember, Jesus went into some of the most reckless, ratchet, of nasty of places to save people and to touch people and to do some of his most finest miracles here. So why do we forget those stories and feel like it's not happening now. And why do we keep shame at the forefront of people's minds, especially in churches, in order for them to change? And that's what I like. And that's the part that I go, that's religion.
That is religion.
You know,
yes, exactly.
It so is. But you know, but this is why even just the conversation of just therapy and Jesus, it makes sense. It makes me say, I mean, well, he created his believers to walk in all forms of life, to be able to touch whoever needs help. You know, I remember that there used to be this minister, and I will say he had some things where I was like, I could see that, and he had some things where I was like, I don't know how you're not convicted in that. But everybody's conviction isn't necessarily your conviction.
Right.
And he used to purposely go to the clubs and sit at the bar, and he was like, and he has had some of the most amazing conversations with people who have given their lives right there. But there are people who won't set foot in a church.
Right, exactly.
Because they've been hurt by people.
Exactly.
And so he said, you know, ministry is not about what you can do inside of a building. It's also what you can do outside of a building. And there's so many people who want to be on this pulpit and on platforms and forget that a lot of the people are coming to these pulpits and platforms. So are you willing to take this title and put it down and actually go speak to those people?
Into the highways and byways. As our grandmas used to say, into the highways and the byways, right? Yes.
You know,
so true. Yeah. Wow. Right. We could like so many different topics that could just keep us, you know.
I know. How we got here, don't know.
You know.
How we got here, don't know.
You know.
But really quickly, to start kind of wrapping just this conversation up, you had mentioned something just about how, you know, that lack of self-care and taking care of yourself just mentally, spiritually, and physically kind of led you into this spiral that caused you to be, you know, in the hospital. What happened there?
So, you know, just running, you know, like I said, my girls were all in their teenage years, and we went to Virginia, which is where my mother lives now. And that summer we were like running. My daughter was, you know, got not an internship, but she got to go to a college to prepare for the coming year, and all these different things were happening. And so when I finally slowed down, we went to Virginia for a week, and we're on vacation. I was like eating healthy. I was, you know, always trying to exercise, and I'm a juicer, so I would juice different things. And we're on a boat for one of my cousins had a boat that was docked down there in Virginia, having a great time. And I kept, before I got up, I kept feeling something really weird in my chest. And I thought, oh, indigestion, you know, because, you know, we try and like self-diagnose indigestion, or, you know, maybe it was acid reflux, something, right? But the Holy Spirit was like waking me up like, girl, there's something going on with you. But I was taking Tums, girl. I was like, I'll take some Tylenol. And I kept trying to lay back down. Went to the chair in the living room, sat up straight in the chair to try to sleep. Got on this boat, bumpy ride out there. Got in the car, heading back to New England. Got as far as New Jersey. And I said, honey, I think I'm having a heart attack. Like, what is going on with me? You know? And he said, are you sure? Because what happened was he went to pay the tolls, and we got in front of another car, and I went to say, thank you for letting us over. And I went to raise my hand, and I got a sharp pain. Girl, I had blood clot.
Oh my God. That is so my husband's story. Keep going.
So I said, okay, you know what? I said, honey, take me to the emergency room. Cause you know, I'm like, I'm not that girl. Give me a herb, give me some tea, something. I said, honey, take me to the emergency room. I just don't feel, I'm feeling that bad. Got to the hospital. They, you know, did all these tests. They gave me some kind of a flex something pill that makes you, you know. Anyway, they gave me that pill, girl. I swallowed the pill. I felt great. They wanted to, I think we had been there for an hour, going on 2 hours. And first of all, we're still far away from where home is. And they said, okay, we're waiting for a CAT scan. I said, I feel better now. She gave me some kind of pill. I took that, whatever she did. I feel great. We're hungry. I'm tired. I want to go home. And she said, well, this is kind of important. I said, I'm going home. So she said, well, you need to sign a medical file, a medical form. And that's the first time I ever heard of signing away a medical form. I'm like, what? Give me the form.
Yeah.
I'm like, give me the form. Give me the form. Signed it, got back in the car, got home, got rested. 11 o'clock Sunday morning, we're sleeping in because we're tired. We got home like 3 o'clock in the morning, whatever. 11 o'clock, I feel like I'm dying. And so I live like a couple of blocks from the hospital here. I could walk to the hospital like you did today. Walk. So we got to the hospital and the doctor did all this stuff. He says, ma'am. I said, yeah. He said, you could have died. Yesterday, you could have died. This is how serious this is. He said, but God or somebody must have wanted to keep you here. Now, for a doctor to say that to you, girl, I started crying. I was like, he just said, God. And so usually blood clots start in your legs. And that thing was already in my lung. It was already in my lung. And at that point, they did a CAT scan and my thyroid was off. My iron was low. I mean, I was taking care of everybody else, making sure they made all their dental appointments and health appointments. And I was not taking care of myself. Or you think you were taking care of yourself, but I was putting myself off. And so, so to this day, I'm still on a blood thinner because that was like maybe 2015 or whatever, but it happened again in 2019. So God was like, look, if you don't slow down, and
if you don't cut it down and sit down and worry about yourself,
go sit yourself down. Because then you start.
Because what they say, if you don't sit down, he'll sit you down.
You know,
he'll find a whole way to sit you down.
You know.
So that's my husband got set down too. About a year, 2 years ago. I had got set down as well. It literally, we both went. But like it was like a back to back where I was like, I can't sit you both down at the same time because y'all got kids. But I'm gonna handle both of y'all. And we are busy bodies. Like I will run myself in the ground. And if my husband doesn't stop me, it'll be detrimental. And it's the same thing. So we're getting better at both being like, hey, we can't do this.
Yeah.
But I've never had like a medical issue that I can say in my life outside of my son. But this time, I like out of nowhere get like a tumor, basically, somewhere in the side of my neck. Like one day I was just like taking a shower. I had felt my arm going numb here and there. And then like one day I was taking a shower and my husband was in the shower with me. And I was like, babe, feel this. Is there like something there? And he went to poke it and it felt like my whole arm, like just shot, just pain through it. Went to the doctor. Doctor told me like it was, this kind of tumor. They want to take it out, make sure it's not benign. Now I'm like, benign? Like what? Like you have to take it out to make sure there's like no cancer? Like I don't understand. Where did this come from? What happens? And he's just like, oh, it's probably just tissue. Looks like maybe it started growing on top of each other there. It hardened. Okay. Go through this whole thing, get it taken out. It's benign and everything. It wasn't a big recovery kind of thing. So I caught myself back up, work. Next year, my husband, arm is swelling really bad, like Michael B. Jordan and Creed swole type of arm. And I'm like, what is happening right now? It looks good, but it's kind of off because it's only
right.
And so he's like working through it. Now I've been telling my husband, since we've been married, I've probably only seen you go to the doctors once or twice. That's not okay. And so one day, matter of fact, when we moved into the studio, just to get the stuff ready and everything, he went to lift his arm up and was like, hey, I'm noticing like this lump under my armpit. He lifts it up. I look at him and I was like, you need to go to the hospital right now. Right now. Straight there. And he goes, I think he went to like see his doctor or did a walk-in clinic somewhere. And he comes back and like he's talking. And I'm like, so what's under your arm? And he's just like, yeah, so that's a blood clot and I have to get my rib removed.
What?
Like, what just happened? What just happened?
Men are so nonchalant. They're so nonchalant.
It's so nonchalant. So, we went through this whole thing and everything, but it just, again, it went to show me how, like, we can quickly get so taken away with not taking care of ourselves, not paying attention to our bodies, giving us signs. and really put ourselves in just like these detrimental spaces where God is just like, I mean, what can you do?
Mm-hmm.
Now you have no choice but to slow down because you can't do anything right now. Now you have no choice but to take care of yourself. And so it's a constant reminder, I feel like, going through that now, where we do have to remind ourselves, like, hey, we don't want this to happen. Or now we have those doctor appointments that we have to keep up with, to follow up with and everything. Same thing with this pregnancy. Put me on bed rest in the hospital for like 2.5 months, 3 months.
Wow.
In the hospital, 50 days.
Oh my! In the hospital, so you can't even get up and fake stuff at your house, because if you're on bed rest at home, you'd be up there cooking and cleaning.
Exactly. He said, no, I can't even have you at bed rest at home. I'm going to put you on bed rest in the hospital. What are we doing, God?
He knew.
Like, what are we doing? It was the first time in my life, though, that I've sat and done absolutely nothing.
That is the hardest thing for us to do.
It was driving me crazy. But I know that if I would not have been in the hospital, I probably would not have had the full-term pregnancy that I had.
Right.
And it probably would have been a healthy pregnancy, even if she would have made it here. Because I've just been doing things. It was so much going on. My daughter, my oldest, was graduating. Like, I would have been flying in my third trimester, having no business to fly, because I'm not missing her graduation.
Right.
Like, there was so much stuff happening. My mom ended up going into the hospital.
Wow.
I would have been paying attention to myself. I would have been driving to go see what's going on with my mom, meanwhile being pregnant. And so all these things happened, and I was like, God, you have me just sitting here. And he was like, because this is your time.
Right.
This is for you. This is your time. When I came out of that hospital, all the things that the doctor said they hospitalized me for never happened. And when you have that connection with God, like, I knew. I was like, I feel fine. Like, I know there's nothing. My spirit isn't telling me that something's wrong. Like, I could go home today. But it was always that thing in the back of my mind that was just like, but I know that this is a God thing. There's a reason why I'm here. I don't know what it is. Didn't know what that reason was until my child was here and I was released after having her. And I was just like, wow, that's what that was for. Okay. All right. But it's so true how just like having foresight, after something like that, and being able to be like, okay, now moving forward, I've already given you the test, like we've taken it before. You have foresight now. Are we going to continue to keep running yourself in the ground? Or are you going to take care of yourself?
Right.
And I'm just like, I guess I have to take care of myself.
Yeah, and it's so important because when you go through something like that, you think about leaving your husband behind. You think about your children, who's going to help raise your children. I mean, all those things start running through your head, like, and you want to be here for those special occasions and to graduations and marriage and stuff.
For a baby, I'm like, we still got a whole nursery. We have to get together, guys.
Yeah. But I'm sure that your family got together and pulled it all off for you, right? Like you know,
sure did.
We think that we have to be superwomen all by ourselves, but who said? That's the thing that's going around right now. Who said that we had to be a strong, independent Black women? Because
who don't want to do it?
Because I catch myself now too. Like my girls, they're in their early 20s. One's going to be 27, and they want to do everything. I'm like, God he will give you a husband, because they're not there yet. He will give you that man, that special helpmate for you. You don't have to carry all 10 grocery bags on one arm and do all. I know my husband can put gas in my car for me, and he can wash he can do those things for me, and rightly so. And I like to do things for him, but if you're a single mom, I understand, but operating in your masculine side all the time, it makes us rough and hard, and God didn't intend us to always operate
that way.
From that masculine side. He wants us to be feminine, so I'm not trying to step on anybody's feet, but he made us feminine for a reason, ask for help.
He designed us that way. Exactly.
Like going back to
built.
Yes.
My husband said that we weren't built to do what they do.
And we can do what they do, but we can.
We weren't designed. We weren't created to do it. Though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why we have to remember to ask for help, whether it's your spouse or your whomever. That, the other thing, you talk about therapy, and I have some friends that are in different religions, and they're like, oh, you shouldn't do therapy. But, if we operated as a church, as a community, the way we were intended to, meeting at the well, doing things like other countries do, like they get together on a regular basis and they just communicate. They help each other. They deliver each other's baby. When somebody has a baby, they make meals for each other. My mom, when I had my babies, she did come for a week or two and help me to cook and to organize things. And then after that, she would go back. And then when my sister had her baby, I tried to be there for her too. But not everybody has that. And if we operated more in community like that, I think that you almost wouldn't even need therapy, because you'd be in your sister group. You'd be around your aunties. But now all of us live in Alaska and Georgia, and we live all over. I have relatives in Maine and Florida and everywhere. But if we were to actually act like a community and be there for each other the way that God had intended us to be, then it would be a better society. But, here we are.
No, it really would. It's so sad. It's so sad because it's so true. Therapists are currently getting their paychecks because there's so much toxicity out there. There's so much trauma and there's so much hurt. And it's because we're imperfect people and we make imperfect decisions. And that's what it is. But if we were able to really show what a church looks like, we wouldn't really need a lot of therapists.
Exactly.
We would have the people to have these safe spaces and have these conversations with.
That reminds me.
This was good. This was good.
Look, I know. But let me say, it reminds me of being again, going back to Tampa, and I had all these older mamas in the church because my mom and them were in New England, and I had my first baby, and my mom came for that 2 weeks, whatever. So it was time for us to go to church after 2 weeks. I think, they said, leave that baby at home because it's hot in Florida, and they're like, so I took her out. She was probably 2 or 3 weeks old, maybe a month. I don't know. So they like, stay home, child. And then I brought her out. They're like, where's that baby's bonnet? Wrap her up in a blanket. I'm like, we're in Florida. But those are the things that if I was a different person, I'd be like, mind your business. You know what I mean? But it was the old mamas, the grandmamas, the nanas, those people who your aunties, your great aunties, they would speak into your life. But now people are so like, mind your business. People are like, so keeping to themselves, and the pandemic didn't help it any, but I remember those sweet grandmothers coming up to me and say, put a bonnet on that baby, and cover that bald spot, and put that what's those shoulder things they put the diapers on that I one time somebody went to hold my baby, and I'm wash your hands, and then I said, oh, put this diaper on. They said, oh, I don't care if she spits up on me. I'm like, it's not for you, it's for her, because she has a sensitivity to different detergents and things like that. So just old school stuff that is kind of going away by the wayside, because we are the big mamas, we are the aunties, the great aunties.
Dying off, unfortunately. Dying off.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, we'll have you back out here to talk about the other stuff that we had to talk about for today. But I'm always like I always say, God, let this go wherever you design it to go, because it's your listeners that's coming.
Look, so, I'm like, where's your fan? Now looking back, I'm like, I just put myself way out there. I'm not even that kind of person to be telling my junk like that. I'm like, where's my fan? Because now I'm realizing how much I said, but it's all good.
Listen, but you know what? I think when you realize it's one safe soul to another safe soul, or your testimony is not your own, like, you end up, that spirit ends up just making you release it. And your flesh will be like, oh, no, that was supposed to be here. And your spirit will be like, it wasn't for you. So it was for someone who's going to listen to this podcast, and I'm going to send it to you, that will reach out to be like, I needed to hear that story. I needed to hear her talk, or I just went through this and it was so good to hear someone else on the other side or what that looks like. I'm going to therapy because of something that I heard. So when I get the message, I'll be sure to send it to you so you can know why.
All right.
Why you had to open up the way you did. And I appreciate it so much. And I thank you.
Thank you. Your test is your testimony. Your test is somebody else's testimony.
That's right.
But you know how that they say that your test is somebody else's testimony.
Yeah,
or vice
that's
versa.
Right.
Test. Yeah.
All right, y'all. Let's go into our other segment. Let's get into it because we got these advice questions, and then since we are talking about all of this on top of just food for the soul, we are going to. Matter of fact, we'll do our hit or miss. I'll switch it up a little bit. So we'll do our hit or miss. So. I saw this article, and for those of you who know what hit or miss is, or those of you who don't, I'll explain it a little bit. So hit or miss is really where we just take something that's going on within culture, that's going on in social media, that's going on in the blogs, and we kind of just talk about it. We give our opinion, and we say whether this is a hit or we say that this was kind of a miss. And so what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about Blac Chyna, who is very much so known for being ratchet and doing ratchet things, and also being the baby mother of a famous rapper, and then of the famous Kardashian family. Everyone who knows the Kardashian knows that they have a brother named Rob that we never see anymore. I don't know where Rob is, but anyway, is the mother has 2 children by Rob Kardashian, and I believe the rapper Tyga. Anyway, she is known to have a very toxic mother, a very toxic past. If you ever hear Tokyo speak regarding her daughter, it's probably some of the most disgusting things I've ever heard a mother say about a child. But anyway, really, Blac Chyna has kind of become like this sex symbol. She opened an OnlyFans, which is a place where a lot of people dive into pornography or just a lot of other sexual things for pay. And so not saying that was her kind of angle, but like more so showing just like the provocative pictures or that whole side and everything. She's been in the media a lot over the past couple of years, recently for taking the Kardashian family to trial. I was here for all of it. But taking the Kardashian family to trial regarding some issues with money. So recently she has now been in the media because she has decided to turn over her life to God. She got baptized on her birthday. She's seeing out a lot of just like her lipo, injections in her face and everything. And she has also gone public with deactivating her OnlyFans page. As she said, it's a dead end. And now she is all about drinking her water, minding her business, being a good mom, and reading her Bible.
Wow.
Nubia, what do you think about that?
Well, it's funny because, again, I said there's the gap, the age gap between you and I. But on Instagram, I was scrolling and I happened to see her do an interview on taking out the silicone, right, in her breast. And I didn't even know who she was because I don't recognize her like that because I don't really follow her. But I was intrigued. I was like, wow. And then she was like just telling the whole story, and she was going from the car to her appointments, and I was just following it because I was like, what is going on here? Because I had heard her name before, but I forgot that like you said, she was related to had the babies by the Kardashian. But wow, these are end times, whether people want to believe it or not. And for her to switch around like that and she's having a coming to Jesus moment, hallelujah. That's all that you know what I mean? I mean, you can only run so fast. Like you said, that you had a sit down moment. Your husband has had, all of us have had them. And this is probably her wake up. She's raising children now. And I didn't even know her mom's name was Tokyo. Like I think by the time I read the email thing, I didn't have chance to go. But this is kind of me off the cuff. I'm just thanking God. He'll get you no matter any kind of way that he can, as far as opening your eyes. So
once you say you're his, you're his. Whether you like it or not, he will reach out for you. Now, free will, you can ignore it. You can continue to push him away and everything. But once you promote to be a child of God, he's gonna constantly show up in your life and be like, whenever you're ready.
And her testimony. I mean, like I said, I was just scrolling and it made me stop and listen. Yeah. So just imagine the people who are her hardcore, no pun intended, followers. She has a huge pull. I mean, we're going from her, just to mention Kanye, who now goes by Ye. I just happen to know that. People think he lost his mind, but what's the Bible say? He can use a donkey. He can use any kind, right? Any form, any who body.
Show up, however. As whoever.
And
whenever.
And so yeah, maybe the world's thinking that he's crazy, but guess what? He's still sprouting out some words that God can use anybody. And I'm not saying that I'm all in this person's corner, I'm all in that corner. I'm in Jesus' corner. I want to know and follow whatever
you want to use.
Exactly. And he will use whoever he wants to use.
I feel like what I have enjoyed the most about this whole thing of seeing her is, one, seeing how when you want to be different and do different, again, how we said the enemy is always going to dangle your shame. It's crazy how many bloggers and media outlets have been shaming her and intentionally bringing her past up to make a mockery out of this. Like, oh, how long is this going to last? Oh, what guy is she doing this for? It's so disgusting. And again, it's one of those things, especially even when I hear it as like people who also say that they're believers, to like look at her and still be judgy, about that. It was one thing to like put this woman down when she was in the trenches, but it's another thing not to encourage this woman when she is however long it took her to have a wake up call, and having her come to Jesus moment, now saying, I know what I was, but this is who I am moving forward. And it's crazy how people will always want to remind you of who you used to be, but I'm so glad that whatever it was that she had to go through, and she already knows what it feels like to be talked about, to be dragged through the mud and everything. And those are usually the best people to be able to see and hear from, to know like she gonna continue to go forward and watch all these people still talk about a person that she no longer even answers to or will speak for.
Right.
Like, even for her using her name now, which I completely forgot, but like even her wanting to use her name and like show, yes, like that was Blac Chyna and that's who I used to be. Now I'm a daughter of a king.
Wow.
And this is who I am. And you're either gonna like it or not. And I was like, girl, it's a hit.
Yes.
So we here for you, Blac Chyna.
Yes.
Girl,
definitely a hit.
Here for the transformation.
Yes.
Keep it going, girl.
Yes.
All right. We are running out of some time, but we are going to go ahead and do our story time. So our Queen Nubia over here can go ahead and give our advice and everything. I'm going to let her take it away on this one. So here's our story time, okay? It says, please help. I've been struggling with positive self-talk. Since marriage and kids, I've taken the time to invest more in everyone around me than I have myself. I'm currently going through a separation, which has driven a wedge between me and my family and some people in our inner circle. I'm trying to get back to me, but everything feels so new. Parenting is new. Being practically single again feels new. I don't know who this version of me is, and I don't know what to do. What should I do? I'm going to let you take it away, girl.
Wow. So I would have to just say, because, being married 36 years, you lose yourself. If you ask me at one point what my favorite color, what my favorite food, what my favorite thing was to do, I probably would hesitate to be able to give you the answer to those questions off the top of my head. But if you ask me who my kids' friends, what their favorite colors were, I could answer for my kids and for my husband. So you do have so I would just say, take a step back and kind of reevaluate, take some time to yourself. Like we were saying, take a bath. Even sometimes you need to just go and get you a room for 24 hours and just pray and fast and ask the Lord to help you and guide you and direct you, because we all all go through a time or a season where we don't know exactly who we are or what our direction is, or things are not crystal clear. And just step back, and maybe you do need to, like I said, fast, get back into the scripture. If you're not going to a church, find somebody that you can confide in. And again, if you need a therapist, and if you can afford a therapist, sometimes we think we cannot afford a therapist, but get yourself a therapist. Speak to your pastor, or even your pastor's wife. Find somebody to console or to talk to, that you could, you feel like you'll be in a safe place to talk to somebody, because all these things are temporary. Have troubles with your marriage or not knowing who you are. They're all temporary. And it's, again, the enemy just wants to get you in a spot where you feel like, I'm the only one going through this. Nobody else will understand. Just come out of your comfort zone and ask for help. Ask for help.
That's awesome. If I look frozen, it's probably because the camera died, but you still hear me, right?
I can still hear you.
All right, as long as you can still hear me.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing that I will add to that I will contribute to that, is that I will just say it's okay to be in a new season.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed you mentioned new for a couple of things. I'm so sorry that you're going through a separation.
Mm-hmm.
I know parenting is already hard, but now like being this single parent at this point. But sometimes God needs to do things in a new season for you. And so even though you feel all this newness, it's all working in favor for your good. It's all working for you, not against you. And I would say just go with it. Just go with it. And like Nubia said, keep it all in prayer. Like sometimes we can really minimize what that means because we feel like it's not fast acting, but it's the right thing for you in all of this. Whatever God needs to reveal to you for this time, whatever God needs to reveal to you during the separation,
right.
It's all going to come through the clarification and the communication of prayer. And so that's okay. Inner circle probably wasn't your inner circle to begin with.
Right.
I always tell people in certain seasons, if a circle of friends exposes something, it's probably because it's likely something that needed to be exposed. And so this is probably what needed to be the trigger to expose people who really aren't for you and who you probably won't be able to bring into this new season. So be okay with that. And I know that's going to be hard for you, but that's okay.
Yep.
It's okay.
That's true.
All right, y'all. Well, it's been amazing.
Can I add one thing to that before you close this out? When talking about separation, I just saw a movie on this. It was modern day, but they were explaining the book of Hosea and how God told him to marry Gomer. So you know what? Read the book of Hosea. It's a short book. There's a lot in there, and that's dealing with marriage. And then as far as a new baby thing, I remember having my 3 girls and being so tired that I almost dropped my son coming down the step one time in my house, the back steps. And that's when I finally said to myself, you know what, let me call my mom and have her just come over so I can just take a nap. So sometimes it may not be your mom, but it could be a neighbor. It could be a really good friend. Just ask somebody, you know what, I need some help. I need help here. And there's going to be somebody there. They're waiting for you to ask them. Just come out of your comfort zone and ask.
Awesome. Well, Gloss ladies, as always, this has been so fun. I thank you all so very much for tuning in with us. Nubia, I thank you for being here. Please, again, just tell all the Gloss girls where they can find you at your social media platforms.
On Instagram, I'm Nubian Queen 2020. On the podcast, Spotify is Nubian Queen Nation at podcast. And then for my website, it's nubianqueennation.com. And thank you so much for having me.
And I will make sure to link all of those below so we can definitely find her, look her up, go support her, go show her love, go listen and sow seeds into everything that she is doing. As always, ladies, you know where you can find me at on all social media platforms at Gloss with Iceis. That's GLOSS with WITH, Iceis, ICEIS. For those emails that you want to get your advice, questions, and everything, that's glosswithiceis@gmail.com. Send those emails over there. And I look forward to seeing you all on the next episode. Y'all take care. Bye, lady.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Bye, Nubia. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you.
I'll be in contact with you, okay?
Sounds great. Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
Recording stopped.
Okay, so there you have it on the Nubian Queen Nation podcast. Wow, that was long. That was like, I think we started somewhere around 2:15, 2:30 with some interruptions. And so now it's almost 4:00. Woo! So I have all these different edited parts that are going to have to be edited and cut and sliced. I've never really done that very well. I know it's too long for me to put up in little bits and pieces. So we'll see. And then she also did say that she was going to send over to me the edited part. So hopefully I get that from her and I can put it up on YouTube and also put it over here on Anchor. All right. So thanks for being with me here today. Again, this is Nubian Queen of Nubian Queen Nation podcast. That was a long podcast. I don't think I've ever been on an interview with that long, but that was fun. So thanks for being here with me today. Peace and blessings. Share, like, and comment. Subscribe. And the same thing over here for Anchor. Thank you for being with me today. This is Nubian Queen Nation podcast. Peace and blessings.